What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't seen last week's video, we stripped down an E46 sedan 330 3-liter 5-speed ZF donor car to steal the 5-speed out of it to do a future 5-speed swap in my new BMW. Hopefully you can see old Jewel in the background up there. We're going to be driving it today. I need to go get a haircut. But for those of you that watch these videos and want to see a little teaser, I got a notch. I was gonna make one for the truck, but I ended up just buying one off a buddy. He bought it to try on one of his builds. It just wouldn't fit, so hey, I got me a notch now. 30 bucks, why not? We got an action-packed filled day today. I got to get a whole bunch of stuff done, and there ain't a whole lot of time to do it since it's getting dark now at 5 instead of 6. And before in the summer it was getting dark at what, 7, 8? We just got to get stuff going. So in today's video, I'm gonna start off with going to get a haircut because your boy looking terrible. And once I get a haircut, we're gonna move on to this baby. As we all seen in video 1 and video 2, I got the old pan cut apart, stretched, and ready to go in this thing. It just needs welded up, but I have not got the pickup tube ready. Today we need to get that pickup tube fixed up, cut down, and fabbed up, ready to go, so I can take the motor, the pickup tube, and the old pan and all to a local guy and have him weld it all up for me so we can move on with this project. I do have a TIG welder. I just can't TIG weld yet. I'm not practiced enough, and I have too many other things going on to dedicate the time to learn how to do that right now. And I want to. I really want to learn how to TIG, but it just not yet. While the motor's out, we're gonna go ahead and weld everything up for the chassis that needs to be welded and get ready to finalize the assembly on this Jewel when this motor gets back. So before we get into all of that, Beamer keys. I want to take a ride of the Beamer and go get a haircut. See you in a minute. In last week's video, I get that little e-brake extension handle, and we put that in as well. So if you haven't seen that, go back and watch. I modified mine a little bit differently than everybody else because I could use mine as a parking brake. So I got this thing legal yesterday to be able to drive it. I'd like to put some miles on it, make sure it doesn't need any other major things before we get into the 5-speed swap. It runs and drives as is, so why would I go ahead and do a 5-speed swap and then add that into the mix of trying to shake this car down and make sure it's going to be a usable platform as is. I don't want to have to go through a whole bunch of stuff chasing down problems if we can just do it now. Anyways, off to a haircut I go. I'm gonna enjoy driving this thing and see y'all in a little bit. We're back in the garage. We need to get moving on this bad girl over here. So let's get this motor pulled out of there, back on the engine stand, flip it over. So now that this bad girl is wiped down and turned over and all that, I can get this oil pan off there. We can try to figure out about this pickup tube because I need to get it in place and cut and fabbed, ready to put back together. So when I take this over there, he can do the pan, the pickup tube, and we're ready to go. We get it back and start assembling it. So I know I'm tired of dilly-dallying on this build and waiting on somebody to try to help me weld this oil pan that just hasn't come through. I know life gets busy. It's nothing against him, specifically the guy that was gonna come weld it for me. It's just, I need it done, you know? And let's grab a impact and knock this out of here. I love this little M12 3/8 stubby. It just works, man. This is the factory pickup tube out of the other old pan. The other old pan, instead of having the sump, the deep section on the back, it had the sump on the front. You can't just flip that thing around, so that's why we're in this whole old pan ordeal. So this is supposed to go here. It's too short, and I need to move it back here. So we need to cut this here and lengthen it. So I'm hoping that this here will give us enough middle section. Probably not, though. I don't think this is gonna work. So the factory ALS one doesn't seem to have enough, but we can go ahead and cut this and get it kind of placed and see where it'll fit in that other pan. Lay that across. Measure how deep. We're looking at 7 3/16, 6 13/16, up to 7 and. So we'll just go with the bottom of the pan, 7 1/4 in the middle, and we need to shoot to where the pickup is between these two bolts here. So we're going to shoot for the pickup to be kind of between these two bolts here, and they need to be 7 1/4. No more than 7 1/4 off this. So let's grab this. It kind of needs to go here, and then we can lay this across like that. Measure like this. That's like 7 1/4 to there. So we're going to be a little too tall going off this flat here, so we need to lower this down. We'll just have him cut this off. Tell him to use this one, because I think if it's here, you can make just a little strap. You know, just strap it there, strap it there. That'll hold and keep everything in line. So if he can weld me a piece from there and there, chop that and lower it kind of ½ inch or so, I think it'll work. So now we need to get this pan back on and get this bad boy loaded up in the truck so we can take off. Well, let's get this rolled up to the door since I got all this put back on. Wonder if I should tape this hole up. I guess it'd be alright. Fuck it. It is what it is, man. This motor goes, oh, get another one. Trailer in the way. We had to improvise a little bit, put a board out here and roll that out so we can get the truck, backed all the way up underneath of it and get it dropped down so we can take this thing over. So now it's time to go get the truck and get this thing loaded, strapped in, and head out because I still got a lot of other stuff to do today. All right, here we go. Let's go get the truck. Uh-huh. Tried to get me. Anyways, earlier I got the notches I showed you all. That's for this bad boy. I've had this truck going on 4 years, and I absolutely love it. She is my pride and joy at this point because she's got 200 and some thousand miles, and I've drove her like 4 hours each way, so a total of 8 hours solid before, and she don't miss a beat. Thought this thing was gonna need a motor when I got it because some lifter issues or whatever, but changed the oil, flushed it, did all that, and she came right back to life. Did all new brakes, suspensions, a little bit here and there with some wheel bearings, and she has been a unit. She did need a little work, but it's been so worth it. I did put me a fancy radio in there too. More height. A smarter man would have put this in first and not fought with it. Strap her here. That is A-okay in my books. This thing's loaded up. Let's go ahead and get this garage shut up and head on the road, buddy. We're finally making progress on the S10 Drift Blazer. 4200 AR5 5-speed swapped Drift Blazer. Hell yeah, brother. All right, everybody, we kind of came out here this morning, cleaned a little bit of things up here and there. I went ahead and ground some of the chunky nonsense off there, the splatter, and we got it painted. Went up with the steering linkage and everything back in, ready to go. So now we're just kind of waiting on the rain to finish drying up, and I'm gonna go get my motor because it is done. As soon as we get back with the engine, we're gonna go ahead and put the flywheel on it, get the pilot bearing in, get the clutch on it, get the transmission bolted on, stove that bad mamma jamma in here. Hopefully I can get the cross member, trans mount bolted up, get the drive shaft in, get the motor mounts on all buttoned up and everything else, and then we'll have a finalized drivetrain. Before I forget, we did bust the brake line when I was cutting all this out, so I do got to replace from there over to here. Just ignore these that were already on there. These were already on there. They seem to be not leaking, so I'm just going to leave that for now. I did go ahead and wet this down, so I should be able to unscrew this fitting, and if we need to, we can put it on the new line. And I think once the motor and everything's in place, I can run this straight to the firewall, up and around and down, instead of trying to interfere with this, because I like this being nice and open, so if we ever have to drop the oil pan, right out the bottom it goes. Hell yeah, brother. Without further ado, let's go get my motor and get this thing on the road. I have been terrible at filming this week. I'm not sure where I've left off or what I've showed you or whatever. It's been off and on trying to get the race car ready for the weekend and get this taken care of and stuff, and just juggling a couple things at one time. I haven't even filmed anything of the race car because I'm an idiot, but that'll be coming in another video. Look forward to seeing that nonsense because it's going to be fun trying to get that thing going. But here we go. We got my whole pan back. As you can see, it was done by Thacker's Chassis and Performance. There's their phone number if you want to get a hold of them. He did okay work. I've had to go back and re-drill a couple of these holes because they didn't line up, and I needed mounting places. He didn't do too bad of a job on this here. I had these fabbed up as we've seen before, and he just had to weld them in. I think he scooted them in a little tighter than I had them, and welded them up because all the holes are right at the edge. Edge of the hole. Edge of the hole. Let's see. Edge of the hole. Edge of the hole. Edge of the hole. Edge of the hole. It's hard to capture this. So you can see edge of the hole. I drilled in that one. Real close to the edge there, you can see. That one's really far out. That one's really far out. This one's really far out. This one's really far out. This one's really far out. And as you can see, they're just kind of all off. That one looks like it's already been wallered a little bit, and it needs to be wallered some more. All in all, He didn't do an atrocious job, but you can see all those are off. All those holes are off, so I got to go back in with the carbide and try to open them up so it will fit and have a little bit of play and just not like stuck. Anyways, the other thing is, if you look here, we're nice and flat across this section, but if you go back here, and then if you also go up here, from here to here, it bellies like that. Granted, it's probably a 32nd of an inch, between a 32nd and a 16th on both sides, so it's not terrible, but if I clamp the front of the pan first, not thinking about it, it's going to be like over a 16th on the back for sure. See, if I push here, it opens up quite a bit of a gap on the back. So hopefully that doesn't interfere with anything. I thought about taking it over to a machine shop and having somebody fly cut that or so whatever. It shouldn't be that hard to have it set up and or if I had access to like a big belt sander, like one of the big fucking wide ones, I could do one side at a time and get it a lot closer than what that is. Anyways, it is what it is. I think if I tighten it up in the middle and then move forward and backwards one set of bolts at a time, I can go evenly and get it to kind of clamp down and do it anyways, or pull evenly anyways. It's going to be a gray RTV, so hopefully everything works out and it doesn't leak, because if it does leak, it's going to come back off and get reworked again. Since I showed you all the old pan, now let's look at this pickup tube. Pull the old pan off and here's what you got. For the pickup tube, we cut the factory one down. Here's the original bolt hole. The pickup tube would have been right here instead of back here. We cut that down to be able to lengthen it. Front section here ended up needing to be chopped and lowered. Had to put a couple sections in. We only had some old LS style ones, and he cut a couple of them down and get long pieces. I drilled and tapped the girdle here, just like they did down there, to be able to put a strap in. It's really sturdy. And then this is just the factory other section. It's lowered down to basically where it touches there. So I'm hoping this sits close enough to the old pan and it doesn't ever cavitate, because we are going to be drifting this thing. So if it's a cavitation issue, it is what it is. I didn't make this. I didn't fab it. I just kind of let him go on this one. So we'll see if it works. We interrupt your programming to bring you a message from our sponsors. It's me, mother trucker. I'm the sponsor, because I ain't got nobody else paying for my stuff. Took this old pan, marked all the holes where they were off just a hair, this way or that way, or this way or that way, and took a carbide burr. Took a carbide burr to it, made a little bit of a mess over here, and now all the holes line up. With anything, you gotta continue to modify it and make it fit. Now that this thing fully fits, I also notched out the place for the dipstick. Right here, the dipstick ran into the block. The block had a fin on it, so I just chopped her out about flush with where that dipstick needed to be. Now she'll fit. For this, it calls for gray RTV. If you look at these motors, there's gray all over this where it was glued down with this shit. Between there, everything looks to be done with gray RTV. So if it's good enough for the factory, it's good enough for me. So if you think about it, on other motors that don't quite have reusable gaskets, all you need to do is go squirt with some gray silicone, and most of your oil covers, front, rear, all that stuff can be done with this old gray. Alright, well, I guess we'll send it here. If it seals, it seals. If not, smother some more on it. I'll probably pull the pan, see if I can pull the pan in the chassis and put it back if it still leaks. I did have to modify one of these bolts. Okay, take the shoulder off of it, make it fit. That ain't going nowhere. Hopefully the pickup tube gasket seals and that pickup tube is welded real good on all them joints and doesn't suck any air. There we go. The oil pan is on. Let's get the flywheel on, the throwout bearing, the clutch kit, and then put the slave cylinder in the tranny and put the tranny on the motor. Good enough, knock it down. Now we go get some paint. Roll bar, chassis black. Seems to be pretty decent stuff so far. Go ahead and throw this can in this like that. Tighten that one down. Carefully drag this one up to the top. Might have to give her a little bit of a loosen. Get her up to the top. Tighten. Make sure it's tight. Throw the all saws off. Say hello to my little friend. I'm terrible at that. Say hello to my little friend. Need to get one of the versions off Amazon that's a little fancier than this, but for now, until she lets me down, that's what I'm going with. Zip, zip, pull it off. And now, nice and shook. Need to hang it, be better. We'll just hold it. Good enough to me, so we'll take this back inside and hang her up. Alrighty then, I guess I'll just hang that up back there. Put this pan of cane up. Pan of cane? A pan of cane? Or a can of paint? I ain't sure which. Maybe got too many of them fumes up in my noggin. Anyways, gotta go down to the gotta go down to Dad's. He said he has a job there. Gotta see if the starter's Bendix is bouncing off the flywheel or it's got another problem, different noise. I don't know. So get this place shut up, let that dry. When we come back, we'll throw that motor mount back on and probably put the motor on this bad boy to try to get everything ready for it. So see you in a minute. All right, so it's been a little bit of a long day. Had a bunch of stuff to do. Had my brother-in-law, my brother-in-law's funeral to go to and stuff. And it's been an interesting one. But did get a little bit of this stuff done. And looky here. Got a wrench that fit between one of these bolts and one of these bolts. If this thing will stop swinging so bad. More or less, I took this one here and bolted the wrench so it's nice and flat here, and then I just took another bolt and ran it up till it was tight. So that holds this from spinning. When I torqued all these, this thing didn't spin. I did torque all these. I put some of this orange Loctite on it, and I did torque all those and put marks on them to make sure I can know if they spin or back out. We also got the pilot bushing in there, pilot bearing. Not a bushing, it's a bearing because it's rollerized. And yeah, we are ready for the clutch. hard to get in there. Alright, so I've never put one of these on before, but I've seen other people go down nice and even and kind of pull them evenly up on there. The first time I started to get them all to where they just barely touch, I had this where it wasn't easiest to get it in and out, and I'm pretty sure that I want this to be able to be slid in and put in place fairly simply. So now, I think this is all done. I'm not sure if I should pull these out one by one and put some Loctite on them. I'll probably Google that, but I don't think I'm going to. Here's this old nasty thing. Let's compare it to the new one. Looks good. Now, I did get this remote bleeder kit. And now we have a remote bleeder. Guess you couldn't see a whole lot about that. That one in great. The bottom one kind of stripped the first couple threads, so I found a little bit longer bolt, ran it in, worked great. This one is the bleeder. This one is the line that goes to the pedal. The bleeder was this doohickey here, just opens up and squirts out the side, but I wanted this one. Gives me a hose so I can bleed it externally and not have to worry about making a mess everywhere and not having to get down in here to hold this from spinning. And then that's basically it. Now this took a little bit longer to do by myself than it would have if I had at least one person help, but I didn't have no person help, so I did it myself. She's in there. I think she's pretty well centered up, ready to go. The trans mount had to be moved back a couple inches, so I'm gonna have to like stab some new holes in that. I'm hoping the drive shaft is gonna be working out right. We'll get in there and see how much play I have in and out. If I have a couple inches travel in, I'll probably just send it. I guess if not, I have an inch or two cut out of it and we'll go on about our business. I'm just wondering if the trans mount location is just a little bit farther back versus the transmission being longer. I'm not sure, I can go look that up, but it is what it is. And all that's bolted in, ready to go. We're cruising right along. Start cleaning up my mess, and this basically finishes everything up for the week. Got the motor, transmission, all bolted together. The oil pan's done. The motor's bolted in. The transmission's bolted in. I got to put a couple holes in for the trans cross member, and drive-on's finalized. From here, I can start putting all the front end back together and get everything pretty well mocked up, ready to go. I might just go ahead and get everything put together and finalized and just go ahead and send it. And if it works, it works. And if we need to redo it, we can redo it later. I would like to get this thing on the road and drifting as soon as possible. After this, I'm going to go ahead and clean up all the mess that we made all week long. I hope you all liked everything that we've done in this video. Next time, hopefully we get even farther than what we are today. It's been a hectic time between this and between that and doing this and doing that. I haven't had a whole ton of time to invest in this thing. I have put some time in it regardless. So until the next time, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. and I'll see you all later.